Good morning. Um, so I talked to some of the children this week and asked a question. And so I'll ask you, I wonder when a grown up calls you and you either think you might be in trouble or you think they're going to ask you to do something that you really don't want to do, what do you do? Of course, we know what we should do. And several children said, oh, yes, they would go right to their parents. But oftentimes, that's not what we do. And so I asked some of the children when they don't want to go, what are some of the things that they might do instead? And some said they would go somewhere else. They might even run away, go outside, even act like they didn't hear the parent or the other grown-up calling them. And then I asked, well, when the grown-up is in front of you and telling you what they want you to do or asking you to do something and you don't want to do it, sometimes we give excuses. And I asked, what are some of the excuses that they might give or might have given in the past? And some said, of course, that they would just do what the grown-up asked, which we know is the right thing, but even grown-ups, we don't always do the right thing. And so some of the things they said were, well, they might say that they're too busy, they don't have time, I don't feel like it, I have to fold my laundry, or, oh, I have to do my homework. Oh, I don't know how to do that. It's too hard. So those are some of the excuses that children told me they would use or might have used in the past. But it's not just kids that do that. Grown-ups do the same thing. We don't always do the right thing, and we sometimes make excuses when we don't want to do something. Our reading today is from Exodus, the second book in the Bible, Genesis and then Exodus chapter 3. One day, Moses was in the middle of the desert. He was out with his flock of sheep and he saw a very strange sight. Right in front of him was a bush, but it wasn't a regular bush. This bush was on fire, but it wasn't burning up like stuff usually does. It just kept burning and burning and burning. So it was kind of hard for him to pretend that he didn't see that. A burning bush right in the middle of the desert, right in front of you. Nah, can't pretend we didn't see that. And then he heard God speaking. And God told him what he needed him to do. And God said, I've heard the cry of my people, the people of Israel that are in Egypt. They are being held as slaves and they're being treated very badly. So Moses, I'm sending you to Pharaoh so he will set them free and let them go out of Egypt. Wow, that was a really, really big job. So you think Moses just said, okay, God, let's go. Nope. Nope. Moses didn't run away, but he was afraid. He was afraid people wouldn't listen to him. He was afraid that Pharaoh wouldn't pay attention to him and do what God said. And so he started making excuses. I'm just a regular old guy. I'm not the right man for the job. They won't believe me. But you know what? God didn't give up. God kept after Moses until he said he would go. And God said something that was so important. He said, I will be with you. Now, the Bible tells us that we are called to serve God too. You are called to serve God. Everyone, no matter how old you are called to serve God. And we can pretend that we don't hear God talking. We can make excuses. We can disappoint God, or we can do whatever we can to serve God. Now, some Christians are called into very special kinds of work for God, like being a pastor or a missionary. But right now, we're talking about every Christian. Every one of us is called by God to serve God and other people at school, at work, or at play. We can serve God no matter where we are. Sometimes it means just being nice to our brother or sister. Sometimes it means giving food to people that are hungry. Sometimes it's things that are easy, and sometimes we might think it's too hard, or we might have another excuse for why we don't think we can do it or should do it. But the most important things to remember are that just like Moses, God will help us and that God will always be with us. And that's good news. So will you pray with me, right? Dear God, thank you for loving me and for calling me to serve you. Help me answer when you call and do what you ask, and to remember that you are always with me. Amen. Thank you. I'll see you next week.